Great. So good afternoon to you all. My apologies for the technical hitch. My name is Dinah Ogara, and I'm pleased to share with you our research, which was entitled An Indicator-Based Approach to Assess Sustainability of Port Cities and Marine Management in the WIO region. And we took a case study of Durban and Mombasa. So basically, a bit of a background. So majority of world trade is seaborne, and port cities actually at the heart of this because they serve as essential maritime gateways and receiving points for the goods and services that come through the ocean. So basically, the ocean provides a critical ecosystem service, which is mainly transportation routes and corridors, among others. However, there's limited awareness on the life-supporting roles that oceans often play, particularly in the context of port cities and their developments. Moreover, there is limited empirical studies that are integrative in terms of port city efficacy on their policies. Majority of the empirical studies often tend to look at the analysis of port systems and city systems as separate systems and not as an integrated system. So our study was basically aiming firstly to understand this complex relationship between the port city development and its marine environments. And then hopefully we would like to propose an integrated framework to assess marine sustainability. So our study had two main objectives. Firstly, we sought to assess existing GRI indicator standards and sustainability development goals as sustainability frameworks that could help us identify sustainability indicators for the marine environment of port cities. Secondly, we sought to identify relevant measurable indicators based on the two frameworks. What we found was that our study is quite closely linked to the land and sea interactions conceptual framework, in the sense that when you look at port-city relationship, there's a complex interaction that goes on in the land space, the sea space, and the coastal zone. So our idea was to identify indicators within each of these zones and how best to link them. So basically, our methodology focuses on our four-step approach, my apologies. Firstly, we started with a systematic, detailed literature review of existing indicator-based approaches, mainly on marine and port city sustainability assessments. We then assessed specific marine sustainability goals, focusing mainly on the GRI and the SDG index approaches. And from that, we are trying to identify measurable indicators and take this through stakeholder validation. So our steps were mainly geared towards the global reporting indicator standards. We realized that there are actually a lot of indicators that are existing, a lot of frameworks. So what we needed to do was just zoom in on one or two and try to see how specific we can contextualize the indicators for port city systems. So we looked at the GRI standards to justify the SDGs chosen, and we focused on the sector standards. So in the sector standards, we zoomed into the agriculture, aquaculture, and fishing sector, which had specific areas and aspects that it was looking at. And from this, we identified their linkage to the land-sea interactions conceptual framework, and ultimately the SDG goals. Now, our analysis and results yielded 25 multidimensional indicators across the port subsystem, city subsystem, and marine ecosystem. And our criteria for indicator selection was focusing on scope, relevance, accessibility of the information, particularly localized information, quantification, and regional specificity. This is a summary of the indicators we have, which we place across different aspects, multidimensional aspects, so either environment, governance, economy, or social. To conclude, we saw a linkage with our work and ocean governance in the sense that when you analyze port city systems, you need to first understand them as one integrated unit and not as separate systems. Our study also is seeking to look at port city sustainability based on the three zones, which is the land zone, the sea zone, and the coastal zone, and how best to identify indicators that integrate across the land and sea continuum. we realized that a holistic assessment requires a multidimensional approach, and we focus on applying indicators across the environmental, economic, social, and governance indicators, and to see how best policies and institutional frameworks can best implement some of the recommendations that we will make. Thank you very much.